right now. While you watch this, part of your brain is scanning the room for threats. Not you. It hit automatically, without asking, without waiting. It's counting who's behind you. It's calculating whether the person walking towards you is stable or unstable. It's running your social score, measuring who responded, who didn't, deciding in real time whether the group still wants you. You didn't ask it to do any of that. You can't make it stop. This isn't anxiety. This isn't a disorder. This isn't something you need to fix. This is the oldest software ever written, and it has been running without a single update, without a single pause, without a single reboot for 300,000 years. We like to believe that we rose above our animal nature, that civilization came and tamed our instincts, that we evolved beyond fear, hunger, and tribalism, but that is not the case. And the proof isn't buried in some lab. It's in the fact that you checked your phone more than 50 times today, that you physically flinched when someone cut you off in traffic this morning, that you cannot sleep in a hotel room no matter how tired you are. But here's what nobody tells you. There is one experiment run in the 20th century where scientists watched in real time what happens when instincts have absolutely nothing to do. The result was so disturbing that the lead researcher nearly refused to publish it. We'll get there in a moment. But first you need to understand what you're actually running on. Your brain was not designed all at once. It wasn't engineered. It wasn't planned. It was layered. The deepest parts of the brain, the brainstem and the amygdala, were already ancient long before humans existed. It belongs to the creature that learned to survive before language existed, before thought existed. It fires first. It never asks permission. It never waits for you to be ready. By the time you decide to feel scared, the amygdala has already fired. You are catching up to a decision made 200 milliseconds before you had any awareness of it. Your rational mind is the afterthought. The reaction is the real you. And underneath that reaction, underneath every modern behavior you think you chose, there are 6 instincts, 6 ancient programs running on a loop right now. Threat detection. You flinch at a sound before your brain knows what it is. Before you can form a thought, your body has already moved. Tribal monitoring. The physical ache of being left out. The sudden silence when a group goes quiet as you enter the room. That isn't sensitivity, it's survival wiring. Caloric hoarding. You eat past fullness when food is free, when the bag is already open, when the buffet is in front of you. You weren't designed to stop. Status competition. A stranger gets promoted, and something moves in your chest. You don't even know them. The instinct doesn't care. Persistence drive. There is a problem chasing you at 2 a.m. You didn't choose to think about it. It is hunting you. Cooperative caregiving. A stranger's baby cries across a restaurant, and before you are even conscious of it, your head has turned. Your body has responded to someone else's child. These are not personality quirks. They are not disorders. They are not the things therapists tell you to work on. They are the operating system. And the question has never been whether you have them. The question is, what were they actually built to do? Because there are humans alive right now, tracked by anthropologists for decades, still living the way these instincts were designed to function, and when you see what their days actually look like compared to yours, something is going to shift in you, something quiet and uncomfortable. In 1963, a Harvard anthropologist named Richard Lee went to live with the Kung San people of the Kalahari Desert. He arrived with his notebooks, his assumptions, and a Western idea of what a hard life was supposed to look like. Then he started counting. The average adult in this society spends 17 hours per week acquiring food. 17, that is 2.5 days. The rest, whatever they want. Now, I want to give you a day. You wake to light. No alarm, no vibration, nothing demanding you begin, just light. The first hour of your morning is social. Who's healthy? Who's in conflict? Who needs support today? Anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent decades documenting these conversations. What she found was surprising. They weren't gossip. They were how everything held together. No courts, no judges, no written laws, just conversation, day after day, generation after generation, for hundreds of thousands of years. Then comes the hunt. Most hunters return empty-handed. Most days, gathering provides the majority of calories. The uncertainty is the point. Every meal is earned, and when food comes back, it is shared immediately, without hesitation. The hunter who made the kill gets the worst cut. Not the best, the worst. This is not generosity. This is enforcement. reinforcement. The anthropologist Christopher Boehm documented a case, later known as the Christmas ox story, where a hunter brought back a genuinely exceptional animal. He was proud, visibly, undeniably proud, so the group mocked him relentlessly, patiently. They teased him until the pride was gone, until he was humbled, until he was, again, one of them. They didn't build prisons, they just talked. The afternoon is rest, genuine rest. Not scrolling, not responding, not performing, being relaxed, actually being it. An average of 6 hours of direct social time every single day. And the evening, every camp cooks together, every night for 300,000 years. The smell of food cooking over fire has meant one thing and one thing only. You are not alone. Then night falls, and something remarkable happens. Polly Wiesner's 2014 research found that when the sun goes down, 81% of conversation shifts. The logistics disappear, the who owes what fades away, and in its place comes story, gods, ancestors, the great hunt, the future that hasn't happened yet. Things that feel completely real in the firelight because they are the most real things there. They were already living the life you're spending your entire existence working toward a retirement to have. Now, before we go further, there is one instinct that doesn't get nearly enough credit, and it might be the most astonishing thing we have ever produced as a species. The hottest hour of the day, when lions sleep, when every other predator retreats to the shade, is precisely when ancient humans were most formidable. Stand upright. Less surface area exposed to the brutal overhead sun, 2 to 4 million sweat glands firing in perfect rolling coordination. And here is the thing that changes everything. Breathing decoupled from stride. A lion, a gazelle, a wildebeest. Their panting is locked to their gallop. Every stride costs a breath. Every sprint is a clock ticking down to collapse. A human just keeps walking. But the real weapon was never the body. A lion that loses sight of its prey stops. Out of sight, out of thought, out of effort, the hunt is over. A human continues, because a human isn't following the animal. A human is following a mental model of the animal. They're reading prints 3 hours old and still warm. They're calculating wind direction, temperature, the slope of the land ahead. They're not tracking where it is. They're tracking where it will be. The mind wasn't helping the hunt. The mind was the hunt. But here's what no one wants to say out loud. These instincts were not designed for comfort. They were designed for difficulty, for real stakes, for something genuine to pursue, for a world that pushed back. And when they have nothing, when the predator is gone, the territory already settled, the group already fed, the threat already neutralized, they don't go quiet, they don't rest, they become something else entirely. And we have the data. 1968, National Institute of Mental Health, Poolesville, Maryland. John Calhoun was obsessed with a single question, not a glamorous question, not one that made headlines or earned applause at conferences. What happens to a society when nothing is hard anymore? He built Universe 25, a perfect world for mice. No predators, unlimited food, unlimited water, no disease, temperature controlled to ideal comfort. Every need not just met, anticipated. He placed 8 mice inside on day 1, then he closed the lid. The first 100 days, nothing remarkable. Exploration, discovery, the mice learning their paradise, trusting it, mapping it. By day 315, there were 620 animals in the enclosure, population doubling every 55 days. No sign of slowing. Then, without warning, it stopped. Not from disease, not from starvation. Neither of those things ever came. They never would. What came instead was something no one yet had a word for. The young males, the ones who should have been competing for territory, for mates, for dominance, for something, had nowhere to go. Every role was taken. Every position was filled by an older generation that was still alive, still healthy, still occupying the space. There was no frontier, no contest, no reason to try. So they drifted into the center of the enclosure, into pools of listless, moving, purposeless bodies. They stopped grooming each other, the fundamental bonding behavior of the entire species. They began attacking at random, without cause. Then they stopped attacking. Then they stopped everything. No fights to win, no females to court, no territory to mark or defend, nothing to protect. The females who couldn't find a social role climbed to the highest levels of the enclosure and lived alone, fully isolated. And one by one, they stopped reproducing. The mothers who were still trying began to fail, catastrophically, abandoning litters mid-birth, forgetting which pups were theirs, attacking their own young with no awareness of what they were doing. And then, the final generation. The surviving pups grew up watching none of this make sense. They had no model of what a functioning life looked like, no territory to contest, no ritual to belong to, no role their nervous systems could recognize as real. When they matured, they never fought, never mated, never sought connection with other mice, never engaged with the world in any of the ways their biology had spent millions of years preparing them for. They ate, slept, and groomed themselves. Their coats were flawless. No wounds or history, no evidence of a life lived in struggle or pursuit or love or conflict. Calhoun named them the beautiful ones. They were also functionally extinct. May 23, 1973. The last mouse in Universe 25 dies. The population had peaked at 2,200. It never recovered, not once, not in any of the replications that followed, not ever. Calhoun wrote that the mice had died two deaths. The first was the death of the spirit. The second was the death of the body. And the first happened years before the second. The world read this study as a warning about comfort, about overcrowding, about what happens when a species has too much. That is not what Calhoun said. He wrote, "The number of individuals capable of filling meaningful roles greatly exceeds the number of roles available. The food did not run out. The water did not run out. Neither the space. What ran out was the one thing, the only thing, that nobody had thought to put inside the paradise when they built it, meaning purpose." Calhoun spent the rest of his career not predicting collapse. He spent it trying to prevent it. He believed humans had something mice never did: the capacity to create new, meaningful roles when the old ones disappear, to extend themselves into ideas, into work that matters, into building things that did not exist before. But he never fully answered the one question that lived underneath all of it. Could we actually do it? So here is the question this entire video has been building toward. It is not whether we lost our instincts. It is what happens when instincts this old, this powerful, instincts that tracked prey across burning plains and held civilizations together around a fire. It is what happens when those instincts have nothing real to pursue. Because that answer, you just watched it. Universe 25, the beautiful ones, the death of the spirit before the body. What does that look like in a modern body, in a modern city right now? This is what it looks like. Every instinct you carry is still doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is not the instinct. The problem is the environment. The target changed. Everything changed. But the hardware never got the update. Misfire 1, threat detection, chronic anxiety. Your amygdala was designed to scan for leopards. There are no leopards. But there is a comment section. And your brain, ancient, loyal, completely unable to distinguish between a predator and a paragraph, cannot tell the difference. So it scans, constantly, for threats that never resolve because they were never physical to begin with. It prepares you to run from something that exists on a server in another country. And so the anxiety doesn't spike and release the way real fear was designed to, it just hums. Underneath everything, all the time, a threat response with no finish line. Misfire 2, tribal monitoring, social media. For 300,000 years, your social standing determined whether people shared food with you, whether you were protected when you were sick, whether the group kept you when times got hard. This was life and death. The currency changed. The calculation didn't. Every follower count, every like, every message left on read. Your brain is still running survival mathematics on numbers that have nothing to do with survival, and it will not stop. It was never designed to. It was designed to care about the group until the very end. Misfire 3, caloric hoarding, overeating. You never knew when the next meal was coming, so your body made a rule. Eat now, every time. No exceptions. It still follows that rule. Your fridge is full. Your body doesn't know that. It's not checking your fridge. It's checking 300,000 years of hunger. The instinct isn't broken. The world just stopped being the one it was built for. Misfire 4, status competition. You are not buying a car. You are not buying a watch. You are sending a signal to the tribe that you are worth protecting, worth keeping, worth saving if the season turns hard. The instinct has not changed by a single degree in 300,000 years. Only the currency has. Misfire 5, persistence drive, doom scrolling. You were built to chase a wounded animal for 4 days straight. No food, no rest, just a mental map of something you couldn't see anymore, and a body that refused to quit. That's still in you, that drive. It doesn't care what it's pointed at. So when you pick up your phone at 11 p.m., it doesn't see any notification feed. It sees prey, and it locks onto that. You find yourself scrolling and scrolling. You know you should stop, but you don't, because this thing that moves your finger has no off switch. You didn't fail to put the phone down. Your body just thought it was hunting. Misfire 6. Cooperative caregiving. For 300,000 years, no human child was raised alone. Not once. Not in the hunter-gatherer world anthropology has studied. A mother was usually surrounded by people. Grandparents, aunts, older siblings, other adults from the camp, people who helped because that was the way life worked. Anthropologist Sarah Blaffer-Hrdy called us cooperative breeders, not because it sounded nice, because it was the only way a human baby survived. A human infant is born helpless, dependent, needy. It takes a village to raise one, not as a saying, as a fact. Today, in many industrialized countries, that village is gone. Sometimes there are 2 caregivers, sometimes 1. You are in an apartment at 3 a.m. A baby is crying. No one is coming. The family is far away. The neighbors are strangers. The support that should be there was taken apart slowly, year by year, until it was gone. So the exhaustion hits hard. That is not weakness. That is what happens when one person is asked to do the work of a village. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are exactly the animal you were built to be, running in an environment it was never designed for. The instincts are correct. The environment made them catastrophic, and that raises the only question that actually matters now. If we know what these instincts were built for, real roles, real cooperation, real purpose, what happens when you actually give them that? Calhoun's conclusion was not despair. After Universe 25, after watching an entire species collapse inside a paradise, his conclusion was not that we are doomed, not that comfort destroys. It was something he called ideational generativity, the act of creating new, meaningful roles when the old ones have disappeared, of extending yourself outward into ideas, into work that matters, into building things that did not exist before you arrived. He believed the way out was to keep making new reasons to be here. The mice couldn't do that. They could not see the system they were trapped inside, could not step back from it and say, this world was built wrong, and I understand enough about myself to build something better. You can. We didn't evolve past our instincts. We buried them under schedules, fluorescent lights, notification sounds, and relentless pressure to be useful in ways that have nothing to do with what our bodies were built for. And the result isn't that we transcended the animal. The result is that the animal is running loose inside a life it cannot make sense of. John Calhoun's mice didn't die from too much comfort. They died from having no role their nervous systems could recognize. You are not a mouse. The question has never been what life would look like if you'd kept your instinct. It would look exactly like this. It would look exactly like you, running the oldest software ever written in the strangest world it was never built for. These instincts are hidden in the way your chest tightens in a crowd. They are hidden in the way you can't stop once something really matters to you. They are in the love you feel for people who need you, in the restlessness that hits at 2 a.m., in the hunger, ancient, bone deeps, for something real to pursue. They never left. The question, the only one that has ever mattered, is what you're going to give them to do.